I'm going to start this video with a tired, old cliche. No pain, no gain. This is usually heard in gyms when some fat ass is on the treadmill and they've been going about 10 minutes and they want to quit on their first attempt at even setting foot on a treadmill. I'm going to tell you this phrase absolutely, positively holds true in the world of leaving the Watchtower organization. I'll tell you right now, at nearly the age of 30, literally a few weeks away, life is the best it's ever been, and it's only looking better. I feel better every day. I stick to my diet and exercise plan. I own a home, a couple cars. I'm in a nice neighborhood. I've got a decent job, which is only going to get better. I've got a lovely wife I've been with for nearly a decade at this point, and I have two adorable young children that every day amaze me with how much joy they bring me. Life is good, and it's only going to get better. I can tell you right now, the life I have now never would have even been a fraction as wonderful as it is now if I didn't leave the Watchtower organization. My prospects for a mate would have been very, very limited. Would I have loved my mate? I'll say I probably would have convinced myself that I love them, but it would have to be a settlement for a mate because the number one priority in finding said mate was that they were a strong Jehovah's Witness, and not necessarily that I loved them with my entire heart. The years of work I needed to put into to have the position I have now with the prospects I now enjoy, I never would have been able to do with the rigorous schedule I would have needed to have held fast to as a Jehovah's Witness. I never would have attended college. I never would have become a professional wrestler. I never would have gotten married in a hot air balloon. There's just so many things I would have missed out on in life. I'd be looking back right now on my life 10 years ago in November, and I wouldn't be seeing wrestling Rob Conway, Kenny Dykstra, Doug Basham, or being backstage with Terry Funk, Dusty Rhodes, and Doink the Clown. I'd be seeing door knocking upon door knocking for a cause I wasn't even sure was right to begin with, and still waiting on the promised Armageddon that I've been thinking was right around the corner since the day of my birth. I'll tell you right now, it wasn't easy. The first year I left was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. Like I said, no pain, no gain. I went through miles of pain. No one can understand just how alone you are until they go through it themselves. There's a reason why people don't leave the organization much. It's too fucking hard. There's always the easy way out. You can always just pick some random person to have a one-night stand with and get kicked out. Getting kicked out is easy. It's incredibly easy. Just have them make the decision for you. Standing firm to your principles and leaving because you don't think it's right is a very, very hard thing to do. It's probably the reason why apostates are demonized so much in the organization, to deter people away from doing it. To borrow a phrase from the Bible, cramped and narrow is the road, and few are the ones finding it. We are isolated from the rest of the world, and you have no one to turn to when you are for the first time in your life truly alone. When you're in the organization, you can bury those doubts and speak to an elder. You still have the association of the organization to fall back into. When you've sinned and repented, you still can have your family to fall back into. When you decide to leave, when you decide that you cannot justify continual apologetics in order to stay in the organization, the only one you have to fall back on is yourself. Some people think about the poem Footprints, where a man's life is likened to walking upon the beach, and the man goes back to tracing his footprints and sees all the difficult times of his life. There was only one set of footprints. He turns to God and says, "My whole life you were walking with me, but in my times of trial there was only one set of footprints. You left me on my own those times." And God says, "No, my son, those were the times where I picked you up and carried you." I think of that poem too, but there are thousands of footprints near mine, all throughout my life. But in my times of trial, there was one set of footprints, and it wasn't God's, it was my own. However, I'm glad for it. You can't really know yourself until you've had to rely on yourself. That first year was hard. While none of my family, save my immediate family, are Jehovah's Witnesses, I had spent my entire life isolated from them. I couldn't really turn to them, and even if I did, they didn't understand the first thing about Jehovah's Witnesses and what I was going through. All my friends that I spent time with were still in the organization. Of course, there were message boards which can help somewhat with people knowing a bit of what you're going through, but really, words on a computer screen can only do so much. It was this time that I learned who I really was. When I finally became comfortable with who I was, I stopped needing to fit the picture of what others expected me to be. I no longer had to bury doubts in, well, anything. I just really learned who me was. It would have been easy to just return, deep-seed those doubts, forget about them, take the easy answer to every one of my questions without addressing the real issue, and bury myself in the kingdom work. Standing firm to a principle is really a hard thing, but nothing worth doing is easy. No pain, no gain. However, things like this are a game changer. Those who leave, those who take the cramped and narrow road, no longer are anonymous, nor do we go quietly into that good night. Now we exist. Our principles can be seen for the entire world to see, not just 3 men in a back room that will never share it with the rest of the congregation. If someone from your congregation is curious, they can secretly watch you on YouTube or message you on one of the many social networking sites. Then they can have the real truth. The power of one person speaking out against something they don't agree with can cause more who are on the fence about speaking out to jump over that fence and start speaking out. A lot of people love my channel, and a lot of people reference my channel for various things, but my channel isn't nearly as important as the channels of people simply speaking out about their experience. Just let your experience be known. The enemy of any group that gathers as converts through ignorance of a subject is knowledge. The more that is known, the easier it is to find information. The harder it will be for the organization to survive, and one day we'll all be speaking in the past tense about the Watchtower Society. But one thing will never change. I will still call all of you my brothers and my sisters. Know that you speaking out now to end a tyranny is something you will tell your children, and your children will tell their children, whether it's at November 5th, 2017's barbecue or not. The most important thing you can do in your entire life is speak out. The most unselfish thing you can do is tell your story. Let the knowledge get out there. The Jehovah's Witnesses always say they're waging war, theocratic war. If that's the case, this makes us all co-patriots. To steal a phrase from Dustin, you're all my battle buddies. I'll leave you with this famous soliloquy, which hopefully inspires you as much as it's inspired generations of men, women, and children. This story shall the good men teach his son, and Crispian shall ne'er go by, from this day to the ending of the world, but we, and it shall be remembered. But we few, we happy few, we band of brothers, for he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother. Be he ne'er so vile, this day shall gentle his condition, and gentlemen in England now abed shall think themselves succours they were not here, and hold their manhood cheap, while any speaks that fought with us upon St. Crispin's day.